don't know what's causing it yet.
Oh, gosh.
So,
All right.
It is 6 p.m. and so I call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, November 10th to order. And our roll call, why does it sound so loud?
Because you speak so much louder than Dr. Miller.
Okay, I'm going to move away from it. Our roll call is Dr. Miller has an excused absence. Corinne here. Jesse Valdez also has an excused absence. David Heyer has a voluntary absence. And David Dower, you are here in our quarter. Very good, thank you. We have a quorum. So, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will not have any citizens' comments right now, because not even Kay Bauer is in the meeting, so we will move right on. Okay, business item 5A. I take it you have all read the minutes, and does anyone have any corrections? No? That's good, because if you did it, you would have needed to comment to Kat earlier. Can I get a motion to approve?
make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will say,
Okay.
you need to start seeing,
Yes, yes.
I haven't got, I didn't see how I was.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Although I don't see it.
But you weren't official at that time.
No, I wasn't.
All right, very good. Discussion items. Items applicable to planning and zoning that were discussed at last week's city council meeting. First of all, city council unanimously appointed Art Porter to place 7 for a term not to expire until September 30th, 2022. Yay. Very timely. In addition, regarding the petition by Vaquero Grande LLC for rezoning of the 4.23 acres from residence agriculture to neighborhood services, and I will read the whole location because you guys have already seen that and were part of the discussion last meeting. But City Council passed that unanimously as well. So we are good on that, and I believe those were really the 2 items for our committee. Okay, so master use plan. You might recall that at our last meeting, Ms. Kane spoke about the need to reevaluate the master use plan map because it doesn't quite match the city's zoning map, and the zoning map that was from September of 2019. Ms. Kane, would you like to elaborate? Because I know it had something to do, one of the items was on the country club district. So
Yes.
it's not showing on that.
Yes. At the intersection of Waterwood and Forest Waters Circle in Forest Waters, there is property that is currently where the club at Garden Ridge is located. And formerly it was Forest Waters Club. And the new master land use plan has that property designated as parks. You can see where it would be located, where you see basically about the area where you see the green and right above Trailhead. Our current zoning ordinance has a country club district that is specific only to that location. But once we move into the new zoning ordinance, I think we need to address how are we going to look at that particular location. Do we want to keep it as a country club district, or do we want to perhaps call it something else, give it another designation? It does sit in the middle of a residential area.
So, are you asking us to kind of make some comments right now on what we think it should be designated?
If, I don't know that y'all are prepared to, but if y'all have some comments, I think we'll be please make them and see which way we may want to move with that.
Yeah, Kat, can Jesse chime into our meeting if he would like to? Okay, so Jesse, if you can hear me, if you have comments, please feel free to jump in. For my thoughts, and looking at the zoning map, that one little piece that is currently, it's like pink, right there, that's the
Yes.
country club district,
Yes.
right? And we probably, I don't think we have an issue keeping it that way, because that is actually, the club at Garden Ridge is the country club for our city, or, in our city. So, does anybody else have thoughts at this time?
Question, Nancy. The physical size of that district, is it just Garden Ridge Country Club this time? Or does it slough off or side out to any part of the residential district? Because you've got the country club, the tennis courts, the swimming pool, and the lake.
It will include all of that.
But only that district.
That area only includes all of what you said, the structure, the clubhouse, the pool, the tennis courts, the upper lake and the lower lake.
The reason I asked that is somebody else wanted to come and put a club in Garden Ridge, and we said we have a country club district. Would we need to expand that area on our zoning map? Would we be relative to just that one country club in Garden Ridge proper? Or, 'cause, there's no property adjacent to that to add another club, but if somebody wanted to go elsewhere in,
Zone 5.
Yeah.
so, I'm just asking the question because you know how impossible things pop up.
Right.
And they go, oh, you got a club district in nice little Garden Ridge, and we'd really like to add another nice wedding venue or club to it.
It would all depend on what the uses were in the allowable uses in the particular zoning district that they would be wanting to put that into.
I was just wondering if because it might put the owners of the club at an advantage. They could pretty much do, I don't know, we have a descriptive of the country club district at this point.
It currently does have, it's like any other zoning district. It does have what is allowed, talks about pervious cover, setbacks, etc.
Okay.
But I did not bring that current zoning ordinance with me. I can go run and grab that and.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what I said on mine.
Okay,
And I have a
be
question
right
for the
back.
attorney, that's okay. Yeah. What are we doing to ourselves with setting up a single use district? In other words, it's just country club district, but it only pertains to that country club. Are we gonna get ourselves in an issue somewhere else and see like we're growing, we're gonna add all this commercial stuff on the end sometime, and somebody may wanna come in and put some type of club or buy other property and open a similar thing, because wedding venues are a big thing.
Sure.
Yeah, so, would we be back here trying to open up another? Is there something we need to do in the current zoning that says in this commercial zoning or light commercial, where maybe we need to add descriptive to that that will allow? I'm just concerned about having a district and ordinance pertaining to one location in the city.
And when that district was originally set up, you know, not a big issue. To be perfectly honest, even now, not a big issue to the extent that you know, that location has been designated as district. I mean, it doesn't have any legal liabilities, which is, I think, where we're going with that. So, I mean, if there are other areas that the city wants to designate as that type of district, or if there are other areas where we want to allow similar uses, but maybe it's not called the club district, or, you know, whatever it is, the official term is, you know, entirely policy decision, you know, for P and Z and council.
Variance of that.
Right. You know, so if there are other areas, you know, within the city that the city wants to designate to have similar types of uses, you know, it can be the club district too, you know. I mean, we can name it whatever we want, but I mean, if the concern is having another district that has similar uses, the city is certainly, can make that as a policy decision and establish such a district.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, it's just, I'm trying to think through the loopholes of what's gonna happen if somebody comes in and says, well, we only got, the structure's there and that's it, and that's all you have in the city of Garden Ridge on your master plan.
Sure. You know, and if this was, you know, if this was a new ordinance that the city was adopting and we had similar locations within the city and we were only going to allow this one location to have that designation, that could be an issue. But we've got the exact opposite. It is the only one.
Yeah.
The city is free, you know, it has limited space of other areas and what can go in there. You know, if the city wants to designate another area, it certainly can do so.
Okay, thank you.
Currently, the uses for the country club district, it's for use by country clubs which provide member services such as social activities, socials, dances, music, art events, legal games, on-premise food and beverage service, space for business meeting and other private functions, sports activities involving indoor or outdoor courts, swimming and fishing, non-motor powered boating. It goes into your area regulations such as lot size, front yard, side yard, rear yard, impervious cover, parking, construction standards, which we can't enforce any longer, exterior lighting, and that is predominantly,
That's pretty cut and dry for that.
yes.
Anyone else? Okay, so is this something we?
I just want to add that, yeah, this is, I think we just want to, you know, correct the map on in our master use plan, at least for this area, and then leave it open for any other ideas, but we need to correct the map in the master use land plan.
I would also like to bring forward that there's another location that the property owner feels that their property should be designated as the anchor retail. If you go to the intersection of 2252 and 3009, you see the area that is kind of a grayish area, and then right below it is just a small area that is designated the retail. And directly across the street from that, on either corner of 3009 and 2252, no, go back, stop right there. You've got anchor retail directly across the street. You see which property I'm talking
Where's
about?
so you got the intersection 3009?
Yes,
So
and it looks, and,
basically we have Wetz's Field right there across.
you have
the-
Wetz's Field right there, which is Special District 2.
Right.
Across 3009 from that, the grayish colored area is municipal. That's where, the, water tower. I don't want to press it into the this little piece right here, that is designated as retail on this map, and I know the property owner has spoken to me and feels that the property is more conducive to the anchor retail that's across the street. But it's this piece right here. This is the Schertz water tower, this grayish color.
It's about 3.5 acres right there.
Yeah.
Is that
Was
that
that-
little piece?
is that Sylvia?
Yes,
That's
Yes.
Sylvia's property. That used to be the Harold Miller property.
yes.
And there's a historic house right there that's actually registered. That old Grandma Wetz's house.
Oh, is that who
It
you
was built in 1857,
Oh,
and it's actually registered. So she wanted to tear it down, and I know that property well, I know her well, so I said, well, you better check with the registry in the state of Texas. So that's an historic house from back at that time, so we may have to get that question answered.
but
And they had it impervious, the guy, I think, the P and Z had approved it to 50%, or at one time, it may go back and work, just look, that's what I understand.
it was zoned, rezoned, B1 and B2.
Yeah, Mr. Miller claimed.
B1, I believe.
Yeah.
But I bring this up because if we're going to make any changes to this map, that may be another location that we may want to consider.
They want to change
Changing
it
it
to
to-
anchor retail, not just light retail.
Right,
Anchor.
she would like to, she feels the property is conducive to an anchor retail.
There is a water well on that property, that's right on the property line, it still belongs to a Miller family. It's actually owned. So when they did the thing, they got about the well state, so there's an issue there. The Mr. Miller's passed, so they'll resolve that. But before that impervious cover, that was too small because of the impervious cover. So
She
what
got a
they're-
variance for the impervious cover, and
Yeah.
honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember how much that
I think it's
percentage was increased to.
50, I think.
I,
I think,
if it's not 50, it's going to be close to it,
yeah.
the high 40s perhaps. I just don't recall. But I wanted to bring that up because that is another location that,
And I think it also, it's only, when she lays it out, there's only gonna be one entrance off of 2252.
I
It's
believe-
not, it's not gonna let it come off the 3
I don't recall now. It's been so long since I've looked at that plat real closely.
Ms. Kane, I recall that when city council was reviewing the master land use plan before it was approved, I thought that corner was discussed at that time to be retail anchor, but it didn't get changed apparently. So I'm in favor of changing it to retail anchor.
Well, if city council already approved that,
But we can, the map can be changed.
yes, then we.
It was discussed, but it wasn't changing the map, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
So it should go ahead and be changed, yes.
And the idea is that, you know, because we have to go through the notice processes and all of that, is that, you know, try to capture as many as we can in one fell
One
swoop.
time,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Sharon, you were talking about anchor retail as opposed to light.
light retail.
Because I know she wants to put office buildings there. She's discussed that with everybody, I think.
That, she has discussed that before, or that was her original plan,
Yeah.
office and retail. But she also had been considering a bank or a pharmacy
Okay.
or a service station type, business at that location. in, prior conversations over over the past several years. Nothing of recent, but I just wanted to go on and bring that forward to you about a potential change to this land use plan map.
Has it already been designated historical?
As far as I know,
The house.
the house.
That makes it very, very hard to use that lot for anything else. You have to go through a whole long process of documenting and recording and getting state approval before you tear that house down.
My understanding from part of my family that owns that property, my understanding that that house was sent and it was designated as a historical site. And I think they have the documentation so that they can probably bring that up on this. And that's, I must bring it up, you can still change might be able to change, the zoning on that, but I don't wanna hang that up. And I'll volunteer to make the phone call. See, so we know for sure not. But I'm like Jesse, I'm in favor of changing in that if something needs to be built, there's just 3 acres sitting there doing nothing. So, I agree with that.
Jesse, any other comments? No? Okay. So right now we have the question of that parcel and the parcel up by the trailhead for changes. And I was wondering if it's appropriate to discuss another issue with regard to, see where Area 1 is up there? Move it a little, there you go. I had a question, since we're talking the land map, right? I guess I could bring up anything to do with the
land map.
Okay. So after the issue with the garden homes and all, that's Area 5, right? That was supposed to be medium density, but it failed because it brought in high density. But that's the area that we were looking at in our possible new ordinance for the designation of where we might have garden homes. I had a question about where Area 1 is. You see that tract of land that's kind of like almost like a little boot or something? It doesn't appear that there's anything built on it. Where the number 1 is going left and going up. What is that? Is that just undeveloped land?
Along Bat Cave?
Well, back cave, then it goes where the circle is, where the number 1 is, and then up kind of, is that Tonko Pass that goes up there?
Here, I'm gonna bring you the pointer.
Okay.
What is the name of that subdivision?
Why?
I'm just asking, is there anything?
There's a
Okay.
utility right away at
Okay.
that property.
So see this area right here and the area right here. What is that currently?
Okay, the area that's designated in that, as Special District 1 is a tract of, I want to say it's, oh gosh, I want to say it's close to 60 acres perhaps, off Back Cave Road, and it has been purchased, and someone is building a home on that property, and is talking about possibly dividing that into a few other lots and building residential homes.
Okay, but that's currently all 60,
That whole
this
acreage,
area right here is what
Yes,
you're talking
it's
about?
all one tract,
It's 60 acres.
right thereabouts,
Okay.
and that's what it butts wildland.
Up
Now-
up here is Wildwood?
No, right now, go down below one. That's all wild.
Oh, okay, so what is this? It's just.
That's Oak Meadows, where the U-shaped road is.
Uh-huh,
That's Oak Meadows Estate.
okay,
The other tracks that are facing that cave are individually owned
Okay.
tracks, as well as the large tract that's right below that right there. That's, I can't remember how many acres that is, but that is currently, I mean, that's private residence, kind
Private
of like a
purchase of
small,
land.
it's like a small ranch
Okay.
farm.
well, where all this is going is I was wondering if, does it have to be a landowner or a possible developer that brings to P&Z into the city a change in zoning, say, because right now it's residential, it's low density residential, right? These colors are kind of off, but.
That
but
is-
That's like for residences, single family homes, things.
Right.
Is the city able to possibly say, oh, look, here's a much better tract of a lot of land to do low density / medium density residential?
Like the garden home type scenario.
Exactly. Because I'm just like, we're gonna build possibly garden homes right up against the railroad. You already have the quarry, and then you got the railroad to add to it. Why would we do that? And so I'm just thinking, because I'm looking ahead to where, I don't wanna have to leave Garden Ridge. Where could we, designate, or where could somebody, where there's land available, maybe a developer come in and say, oh, well, here's a designation, low density / medium, to where you could put some possible garden homes in some of that land, if those owners wanted to sell their portion to a developer or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, this and that area, that's all I was wondering about.
So the answer is yes, the city can initiate its own zoning changes, with its planning and development of the city.
And because right now, I mean, if the owners don't want to sell the land and don't want to have, garden homes come in, well, it's already low / medium, or would the city say just medium? I mean, I guess if you're not going to do medium, you can always do low density, right?
Again, right, so policy decision for the city
Yeah.
on how they would like to see that developed,
Right.
and that can be zoned
Yeah.
to meet whatever plan, that.
I mean, it's not that, because again, Nancy has explained, all those tracts, or that land belongs to someone. But if an owner, or say, for instance, a developer wanted to come and talk to one of those owners and purchase some of that land right there to possibly bring in medium density, smaller homes. If we're looking at this and looking at possible, that's the only area we're looking at, really. Unless we're gonna stick with that horrible area on Zone 5, which I'm like, no.
But remember too, when you start getting into your medium and low density home sites, it's going to be, those are going to be difficult to put, if at all possible, to put on septic. They're going
Right.
to need some sort of wastewater disposal.
Right, but so.
System.
Exactly, I mean, that to me would be the only caveat or the only glitch if you were to change that to medium density, because the low density already comes with septic and all that, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
what we've got in the whole city. But if you were to designate, that possibly for medium density, then you got the issue of, okay, now what about the sewer? You probably would want sewer.
And that may have been why Friesen Nichols did not designate any of that area as medium to low density, is because of the unavailability of,
Attaching to sewer?
Yeah. that's what I am,
Okay,
Thinking.
so is it, okay, is this Tonkawa Pass, all this thing right here?
No,
Or just that, okay.
just-
So what is, that's just the.
Tonkawa Pass coming up from, see where it says Tonkawa
Yeah,
Pass?
yeah.
The road right below those words, going up, making the slight curve, and then
Right.
dead ending at the
Right.
black line.
Black line.
That's
Right,
Tonkawa.
This line right here, okay. Okay, so what is this the Garden Ridge delineation?
Yes,
Okay, so who owns this area? Is that ETJ for San Antonio?
San Antonio's ETJ.
Okay,
Comal County, but San Antonio's ETJ.
okay. But again, I'm thinking, you know, there's no more land. Not in our city proper, right? To be able to really place, medium density homes. And okay, because right now, Kat, can you make the map go up just a little bit? No, I'm sorry, down. Right there. So we're getting ready to put in sewer, not necessarily in this area, but over here, right? Or right here.
Well, it's going to run.
Is it gonna run right here too?
Yes,
eventually. Okay,
Yes.
eventually, right,
Yes.
okay.
There will be sewer along 2252 as well as along Naco Loop.
Okay, so,
And
okay,
then
now,
from
Kat,
Naco Loop,
Uh-huh.
or from Door Lane on up to, on up to 3009, there at the
is
bottom
it,
of
is this
that.
Door Lane?
Door Lane right there by 3.
This,
I mean, no, just that little short stub.
this?
Yeah, that's Door Lane. But
Okay,
if you follow the black line at the bottom of Door Lane,
uh-huh. This one?
yes, and go towards 3009, sewer line will go right up to 3009.
You make the loop, keep going, go back straight, go up.
It's gonna go there, and then it's gonna go
Oh,
around
up
the loop,
here, right here, this black line.
and then it will also go around, or go up along 2252.
Okay,
See on the far edge. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so is it an impossibility to bring sewer up here?
Gonna be
Very expensive.
very, 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 yeah,
But it is
it's gonna be
possible.
extremely,
Huh?
It is possible.
But it's expensive.
very expensive.
And, but what about like a wastewater, if it's not sewer, but there's,
They have different types of disposal packages, systems, and I'm sure if a developer wanted to get creative and wanted to develop a subdivision, he's gonna find a way.
Right, and
They
you
have
do-
small scale package plans
uh,
that he can put in, service whatever he builds there that would meet the state and the
okay,
requirements. But it would have to be, it'd be a miniature sewage.
okay. Well, I don't know, I was just looking at that area saying, that's really all we have. You know, for a possibility of not being garden homes right next to the railroad track on zone in area 5.
That zone area 2 was one of the areas we were researching for
Mixed use.
mixed use garden home.
Yeah, garden homes could go into the mixed use, I
Yeah,
believe
was
it
mixed
could.
use, but it was more like, yeah, a real small area for,
That's,
Garden.
was that 57 acres there? 67 acres.
I,
I think it's
somewhere
right
between
behind my house,
50 and
I think.
60.
I think it's
So-
right in the 60
okay,
acres.
jog my memory, what is the acreage on, the tract where, Mr. Overman was gonna put it in zone 5, I believe?
20 acres?
Well, actually, it wasn't gonna be in zone 5. See where it says
It was
4?
a piece of zone 4,
Yeah.
Yes.
but still,
Oh, gosh, what was that,
That was the
20?
driving range there.
yeah, okay, but it was a lot less acreage.
Yes.
It's like 20 acres.
Yeah, okay,
Something like that, it might be 25.
okay. So,
Plus, we had to back off the street on that side, it took a lot of area from the way they're doing that. And Mr. Overman was hoping attaching it to that first space with the retail anchor.
right, to be able to golf
go in
cart and
between,
stuff and
yeah.
all that in there. He explained that, but, so it was gonna be on the end of section 4 then,
Yeah,
right?
that little white line you see on section 4, that belongs to Mr. Friesenhahn.
15
I own
acres.
to his storage place, but he owns that narrow piece down that line.
If you look on 4,
Uh-huh,
you see the 2 white lines,
Yeah.
dotted lines?
Yeah.
And then you got that little space in between.
oh,
I think that belongs to Friesenheim. It's there, and it kind of moved over, it's just nothing's there, in between, it's just empty property.
okay, but right now, if you look at zone 5, and look at the color and look at the legend, that's where it says medium density residential.
Yes, because we didn't know what else to put in there.
Right, and I'm just like, gosh.
But there's some houses and some businesses down in that space. Just like,
Sorry.
it's pretty close to the end of the quarry down there.
Yes, you have a double shot. You get the quarry
And tracks.
and the tracks. And I'm like, guess I'm leaving Garden Ridge at some point, because I'm not moving there.
When I look at the use chart in the proposed new zoning ordinance, dwelling, single-family patio home or garden home would be allowed in residential neighborhood district, which I'll have to look and see exactly which one that is. Neighborhood mixed use district,
That's usually.
community mixed use. Bear with me. Let me see if I can find the other chart I'm looking for.
And today I didn't do my, I think,
That's not it. Okay.
the only thing that I'm thinking of is the fact that since this is just low-density residential, maybe the owners hadn't thought about the fact of, oh, I wonder if there's a possibility I can sell this to a developer and put in garden homes. And then let the developer figure out how he would do it. Because then the price of the land and the home, it's all gonna, developer's gonna figure that out. So,
The only thing, Karen, is if the current landowner wants to develop it himself as residential,
they can.
and if we, I'm just asking, by changing it to medium density property, does that push, is that how we do our property taxes in Garden Ridge? Does it have the land use designation, does that have any bearing on our
No,
tax base in here?
no.
The reason I ask that is because if we change it to a higher, kind of a higher presence,
Higher density.
higher density presence, that causes any issues to the current landowner for taxing.
It's going to be based on the value of the land and the value of any kind of improvements on that land. But it's not based on the designation of zoning, no. Okay,
Any questions on that?
residential neighborhoods district, currently, our current ordinance does not have that equivalent. Neighborhood mixed use and the community mixed use, we do not have any equivalent to those designations in our current ordinances. But they will in the new zoning ordinance.
Okay, and then the new one, like area number 2 on the map, that's the mixed use area, correct? So we thought maybe residential and maybe some very
What is that one called?
Low-key.
What is that special district 2 called?
It got cut off.
Oh,
Hold on.
Do you have it?
It just says mixed use.
okay, mixed
I'm looking at
use.
the one off the land, master.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mixed
it
use.
got cut off from the
Yeah.
PDF.
All it says is mixed use.
So then I guess that we'd have to look at what the allowables in the new zoning ordinance are under neighborhood and community,
Where is it?
mixed use.
Oh,
I'm looking at the table 3, which is the zoning district equivalency table.
right.
I'm having to use that so I can keep my mind straight about both
Where-
ordinances.
Potentially.
Is the area above line item 5, got
Uh-huh.
the little big dots around it, was that something, I know we had.
That's the aquifer protection. I believe that was the aquifer protection district.
Okay. 'Cause I know
There must
one
be a
time we had
well
a
there.
discussion about
I
some
believe
of
there,
that quarry area there in the purple in that corner. Closer to butting up to Winchie Oaks where Mrs. Hoffman's house was out, Mrs. Eastman's house. In that section of land that went up next to, the backside of Winchie Oaks.
that property where the circle is, I cannot remember if that's RETJ or Schertz ETJ, but there's a well in there somewhere. That's why we've got that aquifer protection.
I know we were discussing that purple area in that square, well, to the left of where the dotted, there's the two lower purple areas there, that goes up Wiederstein Road goes up there. There's a couple of commercial buildings in front, and then there's.
Now,
one
that will be
residential, two
Schneider
residential.
Lane.
Schneider Lane, yeah.
That's Schneider. And the purple there is quarry property.
I know up Schneider Lane, there's one house there built in that area, and then up, you go all the way to the end of it, there's another house built in there. Part of that was the Wall Ranch at one time. But, so we were discussing about just those two purple areas right there at one time about changing that also. Or looking at that, if that was a possibility. It was heavy industrial because I butted up against the quarry area back there.
I would have to look at my current zoning map, and I don't have that with me.
Well, I was just wanting to throw that out to see what was possible for that land area further up. And then see, even if you did, I don't remember, you said this is the blue area 2, you said it's also 60 acres or thereabouts?
Yeah,
No, it's about 60 acres, yeah.
Okay.
thereabouts.
So,
It's long but not very wide.
yeah. But there's a possibility there as well for, garden homes.
You know, I was asked to research what would fit in there. So I did a bunch of mixed-use garden home districts. Excuse me, sorry. Up in New Braunfels, San Marcos areas, down south, in the west of Dallas. And, so each of those little gardeners places had small shops and salons and things like that in there. So we're looking to mix that up in that zone 2 to give two different activities. And most all those were put on quarter or less, quarter acre lots and less.
But that would be high density then,
No,
if it was quarter acre lots, right?
that's what I was seeing up there. I saw there's one up in San Marcos, or outside of San Marcos, by Hunter, that is half acre. Most of them are quarter acre, closest to property.
Well, okay, so good discussion on this. I wonder if we should, table our discussion and have it again when we have, more of the commission present to, get other input. But we have the two definite areas that we know we want to, that we need to fix on the master, land map. So, can we do that? Can we just say we can table this for now? This discussion?
Yeah, you can,
Do I have to get a vote to table it?
no,
Okay.
no.
Well, I don't think we can make a decision beyond two areas. So, and it might be good to do some more, review, like you said, of the community, what was that called? That other area?
Community mixed use, I think, and neighborhood mixed use, those two mixed use.
Okay,
and-
this one just has one designation for it.
And I'd just throw this out as an idea. Perhaps revisit this topic again after we finish the,
Technical group meeting?
yes.
Okay.
And the commission has an opportunity to look at the end, or nearly the end product,
Right.
and digest it a little bit, because we do have a few things we're going to have to go back to the commission on. And maybe that might help with some of the decisions or some of the direction with adjustments to that land use map.
Well, think we should do that. We should table the discussion at this point and, just actually moving on to like item 3I under, business items, under 5 business items. The technical group will be, meeting in the next couple of weeks. We get the date, right? November 23rd.
Yeah.
To hopefully go through all the changes that Marissa updated and make a few more changes that we know, I think, that still have to be made. And then before we can actually bring it to P&Z for review. So, so that kind of just delved into the draft ordinance review. So,
Y'all are much, much closer than what you realize.
thank goodness.
You really are. It is now down to 180 pages,
But that's double-sided.
but total pages.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the technical committee will identify specific areas that need to come back to the commission that we know need further discussion, but I don't believe there were that many areas.
Right, but there are some that need to come back, so. Okay, moving on to item, II under 3 draft zoning ordinance. Does anyone have any comments regarding to the strategic committee?
I'd almost go back and relate that to what the attorney said last time about the validity of the strategic committee, because it was developed by the council to move this committee forward at a faster pace. and we were supposed to make suggestions on how to get through the reading of the initial draft and get to a point where we could work on it and do those things. Well, we suddenly had a revelation, we ran through this thing and got through it at a much faster pace. So, as far as David and I, you know, were saying, I don't even know the validity of a strategic committee about how do you bring this thing forward to the city council until we have a product that we want to take to the city council. And the only thing we can come to mind is to outline, okay, these are the things we're at. We're on we have a quorum on this proposal for the ordinances, and we'd like to bring those forward to the committee. Now, I know we had originally talked about having a joint meeting prior to that time. So probably one of the things we could do, between David and I can talk to the city council and the mayor, and those people are saying, when do you want to meet, and when can we, under the new COVID things and all the other stuff, how can we make that possible to sit down and meet and say, these are the, this is how we're bringing it to you, how do you want it? Do you want it in sections? Do you want all of it to chew at one time? How much time do you want to have before you actually accept it and take it into council to review and vote on it? Other than that, I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Did you happen to watch the October city council meeting?
I watched part of it. I haven't
Okay,
watched
when
all of
they
it.
talked about the strategic committee, and there was a lot of comments, and I know Councilwoman Bauer even said, why do we need this? Because city council is going to get the whole package,
Right.
Together. But one of the things that I was thinking about for possibly the strategic committee would be because, and maybe this is where we pull it together strategically. And it's not strategically to get it to city council, but to get it to the citizens. How are we going to present this to the citizens of Garden Ridge? They're not going to read 180 pages. So it's not feasible to say, okay, here it is. Y'all read it and digest it, and then we'll have a public hearing and all. But maybe the strategic committee can put, because you've got 2 council people and 2 commission people, they can figure out how do we present this to the citizens? How, do we do it in more like a town hall where you present it and just present it so that they know what the highlights are of the major changes? Okay, strategic, let's think strategic. I think that's what that committee should do, because then you got to decide, okay, once we have maybe a town hall, then, and review significant changes, something you brought up. The strategic committee should think, okay, as we move forward on this, should we have a joint meeting of P&Z and city council to then, again, kind of communicate on all this? The public hearing, should we have it on the same day? And do we have to have 2? Is that required? Okay, it's required. Let's have it on the same day, for heaven's sakes, like we did last year on that one time where we had P&Z, we had the public hearing, we closed it, they went to city council, they did their thing, they opened a public, it almost sounds a little ridiculous, but if that's required, maybe the strategic committee can decide, should we have it on the same day? And so these are just a couple of thoughts of what the strategic committee could really start working on in discussion or in feasibility or something like that. I don't think it really has anything to do with bringing it to city council.
Yeah,
I think it's how do you
it's
present it to the residents?
When we accept it here, we're not going to change anything, and that was kind of my process about, okay, everything that we have to do legally, the public hearings, coming through all that stuff, and I think that we're going to have a joint meeting with city council and P&Z, because they need to understand.
But that's your opinion, okay?
Yeah.
That was a thought, and that's why I brought up that thought too.
I'm
The
just,
strategic committee could really get together and throw those ideas out and figure out how we're going to do this. I mean, I wish Councilwoman Bauer were here right now because I think she would probably say, oh, yeah, let's do that, you know, because she was at the October City Council meeting was like, you know, do we really need this or whatever? And so there was a lot of discussion on that. But anyway, so those are just some thoughts for what the strategic committee could really get together and do and talk about. So.
Question, Nancy. So, if we, as a PNC, we're taking it to the community in the form that we have, we're doing that prior to city council's approval. Is that something that the PNC should be doing? Or is that something that city council needs to be doing because we're just a recommending body? So we're recommending it to the city council. At that point, should the city council, before they vote on it, have the town meeting and discuss what they're proposing, as opposed to us, or we kind of putting the cart before the horse if we're trying to do that?
The Planning and Zoning Commission is going to be required to have a public hearing to get public input. And in order to get that public input, citizens will have to be invited to the public hearing, and they're going to want to know what they're going to be providing public input on. That's their opportunity to provide that input to the commission. So they need to know what this document says. They need to know what the changes are. So they're going to have to be educated before P and Z can, they're going to have to be educated for that public hearing with planning and zoning. And planning and zoning, yes, you're a recommending body to city council, and city council also is going to have a public hearing.
Oh, I
So-
understand that, I'm just.
So really, I think the public needs to become educated about this zoning ordinance prior to prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission's public hearing.
So again, is it possible as part of, again, I think this is the strategic committee should think about all this, but is it possible to have a town hall where we give them, or maybe the strategic committee, two council people and two planning and zoning people, give out information to maybe then the citizens can get this section, or they can go look up that section and review it and all. How does it work with like a town hall? How does that work? Can we do it for education or not?
Right, so any type of meeting that the city has is gonna have to be under so whatever you call it, town hall, workshop, whatever it is, it's gotta be a publicly posted meeting. And then, whatever format we want to do, so long as we have proper notice of whatever's going to be discussed at the meeting, then the city can go through and have those discussions. Now, as Nancy pointed out, legally, the only requirements are that we have the public hearings, P&Z make a recommendation, have a public hearing, and council, approves or disapproves whatever that recommendation was. The issues of, do we want to have, more education process? That is a traditional process for the city of Garden Ridge, because nothing of this magnitude happens without, giving that opportunity to properly discuss and notice and get input. So, from what I remember, that was the purpose of the strategic, was just, kind of try to think through those details and say, do we want to have just a joint meeting, and it's, and we can call it whatever we want to call it, but it's more of a just of an information, type of meeting, so that people can come in and we put the bullet points up on the screen and hear folks, this is what's being proposed, and, this is going to be coming forward, and public hearing is going to happen on this and that date, and, that's the plan. that,
Because this is what we're talking about, educational meeting, call it what we want, is strictly that, strictly to get out information. Because after they have the information, I think that's when we, P and Z,
right, because, and there again, because Garden Ridge historically has always done excellent job of informing.
I just don't know that we're gonna be able to say, okay, here, post this, go to this link, or, you know, you come to City Hall, we'll give you 108 pages or whatever. I mean, that's not gonna work.
I mean, we can post the draft document on the website so the public can see it in advance. Those who want to read it
Right.
can, but I do think areas need to be highlighted.
And discuss.
There are a lot of changes to this document. It's very different than what we have today. So I think those changes need to be highlighted in a manner that the public is going to be able to understand.
In an educational type meeting, could there be, unlike, unlike our, our meetings or even our public hearing, could there be discourse, if somebody had a question, could whoever's presenting answer that question or not?
So the general answer to that is no, but there is a way that we can do that. So we say, we give notice to the community that says, hey, in 2 weeks' time, we're gonna be having this meeting, whatever we wanna call that meeting, and you have until such and such date. We treat it kind of like we do citizens' comments right now. Send us your questions, and those questions get posted on the agenda, and then those questions get answered, and discussion can happen on those questions. So there's a mechanism to make it work.
Well, so those were just some thoughts, what a strategic committee could do. So there. Any other comments?
One of the things that we're gonna have to do on them sending the questions is, how are they gonna know what to ask? They don't have the information about what we're changing at, but yet prior to that meeting, we want them to send questions in. So some of the developers, the residents won't know what they're gonna ask questions on.
And there again, that's, where Ms. Kane mentioned, we can put that out, we can, once we get a draft that we think is near to what we think it's going to be, or at least has, 95% of what we think is gonna go on, make that available, because the persons that will be interested in wanting to ask questions, they will read through it, and they will do their comparison, and they will make, put in those questions. And other people will put in just kind of generalized questions. I live in a residential neighborhood, how does this affect me? Or what type of, I'm interested in this piece of, 2252, what changes are gonna be there? So you're gonna get those types of mixed questions of things that are very generalized, that can easily be answered, and then you're gonna get some folks that are gonna ask more technical type of questions, so.
And then remember too, you're going to be having a public hearing after that.
Possibly another date, or.
Yes, I would recommend it be another date. So then people will be a little bit more educated about it, maybe have a little bit better understanding. And so there is another opportunity for them to come in or submit their input.
And so the idea here is that there will be multiple opportunities, for questions, there will be multiple opportunities for input. And so I think the idea then is, once we have a more definitive, answer on how far we are with the technical committee, then at that point, we need to start those discussions about, all right, so here's our general game plan is how, what that rollout is gonna look like.
Any further discussion on the subject? Okay, moving on to development of an interactive map, and Commissioner Valdez researched the possible use of an interactive map to give residences
Okay, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I found was, what's developing in shirts. And Kat, were you gonna bring up there you go. So this is their website, and this is only a suggestion. I mean, the whole point here is to just have ways on our website to have available things, whether it's, it could be just a list of properties on 2022 with what's going on. But I was gonna just show you here, Kat, if you could go, well, maybe moved up to 35, I-35 and 3009? Or just pick any area that maybe, see if we can, you can see any, I know it's hard to find sometimes and it's slow. I think you're maybe getting close. I don't know. Right there maybe? Zoom in. You see any dots or anything there? Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, here's an example right there where, you know, there's a dot that gives an address or where it is, you click on it, and it blows it up, tells you what it is, then you hit it again, and it actually shows the construction, what's going on there. So it's just a way to do this, and, you know, I think this one will take a lot of work to do, but, the concept here is just to have something to show what's developing in Garden Ridge. That way, people going down 2252, they see a construction, they can go to our website and look. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. I just think we need to have something. So this is just a topic to put on here to start the process thinking as we move forward into next year. So, but I thought it was a pretty neat way to find out, you know, when you start seeing land cleared, you know, what's going on.
So for example, one of the items that I saw just off of 3009 where the bank, the bank that was there, what was it?
Capital One or
Yeah,
something?
Capital One. Okay, so the bank is gone. I mean, they leveled that land. Well, it appears now, if you go back to that dot, it says on the grind. So it looks like they're putting in some sort of coffee
Oh,
company or something there.
Yeah, coffee shop, yeah. There's there's quite a few in Universal City and in Shirts and Cibolo of those already, so they're moving in there. So Starbucks is gonna have a little competition.
Okay, so that's what they're gonna, so that's what's interesting, Jesse, is that, yes, we go, oh, wow, they're gonna put an on the grind here. I kind of did a little clicking around too on some of the other items, but I couldn't figure out where this was gonna be. They've got several things that they've got coming up in Shirts. And, but I couldn't really, you couldn't move the map around to figure out where am I? Or where is this going in? But, okay, so what's project 62? Is that the on the ground?
So this is HEB right here, and this is the new construction that's happening on 3009.
If you click on that.
Was that the new gas station there?
Is that the quick trip?
oh.
Is that what it's gonna be?
Well, if you.
Across from First United?
Click on the dot, go back and click on that dot. Oh, look, right there, does it tell you?
No, it opens up very small.
What does it do on that list that's on the side? Is there anything that says Quick Trip?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so there it is. And I was like, oh, but where is that?
right there.
Right below it off. Right
This
there.
is right off Brooks.
Now it goes further, that's the new. The back of the theaters and.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
That's a new road going to, the theaters.
Yeah, it goes all the way across
Yeah.
the theater property and something.
Really?
So you cut across all the way to the Rouge line.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
If you go back down to 3009, to 3009, 35, there's, you know, let's see, what's that? If you go down past
Yeah.
Ah, yes, right here.
Building that
Yeah.
out, now it's about finished. And then, further down in here, say below down here, building.
Magnolia House.
Magnolia House is the next house in. So, we won't be able to eat there for a month, everybody's gonna eat plants.
Anyway, I think that's pretty neat, just to have a way to educate our public, you know, people are asking questions, they won't have to be calling y'all or putting on next door, what's going on there? They can actually go to the website, you know. And if you do the map, or you just do a list, whatever you think is the best for the city. So anyway, that's what I just want to share.
That is cool. It's very cool.
New subdivision. Yeah, homestead subdivision.
Well, there's several homes, subdivisions coming in, I thought I saw.
Yeah. Copy.
So, is this,
Excuse me.
so what do we do with this information? I mean, I think it's good information, I think that our citizens would really like an abbreviated, you know, type of, what's going on in the city, and especially for 2252. Do we need to do anything, or do we need to say, oh, as a condition, we want to, say, yes, we want to do this, and then what, how does it work, what do we have to do?
So at this point, I mean, this is not necessarily something that the P and Z can recommend
Okay.
and say, hey, this is what we recommend or do along those lines. Now, it's certainly something that we can say, hey.
The strategic committee.
Oh, no.
But this is
No.
certainly something that, you know, we can have, Commissioner Valdez, you know, kind of continue to track on, you know, what does it cost to do this? What kind of upgrades to the city, you know, website would need to happen? You know, what does that, you know, what's the time and effort involved there? How much information do you want to put on versus how little information you want to put on? Because the one thing that you want to be aware of is that I noted that there was, you know, what looked to be like some engineering drawings in there, so we need to be careful about what we, you know, we have permission to put those up there on there. You know, do we want to be showing, you know, where our water lines are, you know, our infrastructure is, you know, maybe, and just so, you know, that might just be some additional, research, because Commissioner Valdez loves research, I guess.
Yeah, my thought was only to have, not necessarily a drawing, but just the name of the business or something like that, just simple. You know, I think otherwise it'd be too complicated to, I don't want to put a big burden on city staff either.
A list, and maybe you just click on it and it shows you the plat or
You know, shows you.
the
Yeah,
map
something-
where it's.
Something similar to what you, maybe shows up in city council as permits or something, you know.
I mean, because it's certainly very informative and
Yeah.
Jesse, did you happen to see which department, does it say anything that developed this insurance? The only thing it says is,
On the website, it just references planning and zoning division. So I guess it's not necessarily a commission, I think it's planning and zoning division of the city of Schertz. And they have a contact information there. I can follow up on that.
I'd like to know which departments from the city were involved in developing the interactive map.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we certainly don't have as many commercial buildings at this time and other stuff. So, I mean, if you do, drone footage and stuff of that nature, you can kind of get this layout.
right.
That's what they did on this one. They did the drone to get all the pictures.
But I think Jesse's point was something like this,
Yeah.
nothing to the extent or the magnitude of this, but information, I think, just as Nancy mentioned, well, here, oh, this is what's coming in here, this is what's, you know, possibly, or once they've submitted for a permit or something, or they've been approved to go in that area, it would be, I think, helpful. Thank you so much, Jesse, for your research. And you know what happens when you come up with wonderful ideas like this?
Yeah, I know.
Jump up.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5 under business items, ordinance 210. Does anyone have any questions or any topics they would like to discuss regarding ordinance 210? And if not, Kat, you did give Art, right, his binder, and so he can read ordinance 210.
I can.
And probably better. Yeah. Okay, if we don't have any other discussion on 210, we'll move on to business item 5C, which is future agenda items. Any thoughts?
Strategic committee.
Strategic. Assignments for strategic. No, possibilities for using strategic committee.
That can be on it, it's fine. We'll take all the guidance we can get.
The other item I thought about was review and discussion regarding proposed draft ordinance, because I think we're getting to the time frame where we probably need to keep this on the agenda.
It stays on the agenda.
Yeah, it stays on, okay.
Yes.
Keep it on there.
And we can leave the master land use plan. We can leave that item on there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Even if we have nothing to update or discuss, it can stay on.
So, but if there is something, it's on.
Yes.
Any other items, commissioners?
Do we have any requests for variance or anything of that nature?
No, not at this time. And I don't have any other requests for rezoning yet.
All right.
I don't have anything.
Jesse, anything?
No, nothing else.
All right, then moving under to item 2 under future agenda items, our next meeting is December 8th at 6 p.m. I would like to know if any citizens want to make comments, since we have none in the audience. That concludes all the items on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.